Hello and welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself and Jenny, all from Host for Ghost, Angela from South Coast Ghost, Julia from Paranation Ghost Hunting Events, Abnormal Paranormal, and our special guest tonight is Harlem from Cryptids, Britannia. Welcome, Harlem.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. So if you have any questions in the cryptids and all things like that, Harlem will answer them. And they've had lots of adventures and very knowledgeable guy on cryptids and all that type of stuff. So please comment on the thing, send them through. Angela will put them on the screen, or you can ask Harlem a direct question, or what you want to ask, find out about the cryptids and that. Harlem will help you out and his adventures. So, and also we had a paranormal event with Paranation on Saturday night at Devises Town Hall. So we'll stick that in right at the end. So we all a bit of experiences. And if that goes over, then we'll do it next week, but we'll squeeze that in as well. So welcome, Harlem, to Monday Night Paranormal Live. So tell us a bit about yourself, mate, please.
I'm 17 and I've been interested in the subject of the paranormal in cryptozoology for most of my life. You know, I grew up watching mostly American shows such as Monster Quest and Finding Bigfoot. And from them, it's kind of strung to reading books and actually going out on, like week-long trips to all these hotspots around the UK. So it's been quite a journey so far.
And what sort of places around the country have you been?
Some very infamous ones, such as that of Cannock Chase, Exmoor, Bempton Cliffs. I've been up to Loch Ness. And there's even places up in the Lake District as well, which have had quite a bit of activity. Nice.
What have you come across? Good evidence? Have you found some good evidence?
Quite a bit. With all different genres of the unexplained. So I look forward to telling you all about it tonight.
Yeah, go for it. So, do you go out on your own, or do you have a team with you, or how do you do that?
Typically, I will go out by myself, whether that's going out into the woods, moorland. But I do sometimes collaborate with the Winter Hill investigation team situated down in Bolton, which kind of works around the areas of the West Pennine Moors and that general location. I've been to Bempton with him. I've been down to Cannock Chase with him, and just a great group of people and researchers. But typically, I am on my own. Yeah.
And you're fearless, obviously. Then
I wouldn't say fearless. No, there's been plenty of instances where I've been absolutely terrified.
Dave, did you want to ask him about Cannock Chase?
Yeah, I would love to hear some of your stories of Cannock Chase, because that's an interesting place, obviously, for the paranormal side of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cannock's one of them places where you just got all these different varying stories. So you've got stories of werewolves, Bigfoot, UFOs, ghostly apparitions. And it's just so strange. I've been fascinated ever since I heard about it. And it's probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite location that I've been to. Now, I've never actually experienced anything around Cannock, though there have been some weird instances, I suppose. The first time I went there, I went out into the woods. It must have been about 11, 12 o'clock at midnight. And we were coming out of this brush onto the road. And as soon as we got out, there coincidentally was a broken down car right where we got out. Now, this wasn't any kind of exit or footpath or anything. This was completely random. And there was just a broken down car there with a woman. Now, I was with my dad at the time, and he wanted to go help, ask a woman if she needed help, whatever. I wasn't having any of it. I've heard all these stories of phantom hitchhikers and all this ghostly stuff. I just didn't want anything to do with it. So I just gently tapped him on the shoulder and said, no, we're going to carry on. And that was that. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It was just so strange. It was just there as soon as we exit. Another time was, there's obviously the stories of the pigman around Cannock, specifically Castle Ring and Pie Green Tower. I think this must have been the last time I went there. I was out in the woods and I heard this like squealing, this very pig-like squealing, like right beside me in the tree line, and it terrified me. Now looking back on it, probably not a pig man. I'm not really big into that whole kind of story. I suppose most likely it was a wild boar, but still quite frightening experience because it can be quite deadly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Ghost Dragon investigations. Do you feel it's safe being on your own with the spirits possibly affecting you?
I do bring protection with me. You know, I will bring crystals, charms and stuff. Now, I'm not completely clued up on the kind of spirituality of the phenomena. Though, from everything I've heard, I think it's safe just to bring some crystals or whatever that might possibly have a chance of protecting you from some sort of evil. One case, which was really interesting, happened was when myself and the Winter Hill team were over at Bempton. Now, Bempton is northeast Yorkshire. It's renowned for all types of phenomena, such as dogmen. The RAF base was well known during the 70s and 80s for satanic practices underneath the base. Now, the last time we went there was such an ominous, kind of depressing. It's hard to describe, really. But I just felt drowned by this fear. Now, the others must have experienced it before, but with me being a newcomer to this feeling, I was tearing up. It was horrible. It's like the worst feeling you could ever feel, just sheer terror. And it gets even more interesting because Mick McLaren actually got the set of eyes, these glowing kind of amber greenish eyes that like peeked around the corner, and you see him blink on the footage, like clear as day. I mean, it's almost like a shadow there. So my belief with that is that it came from the RAF base. Whatever was summoned there all them years ago, it stays on that land. Because there's been countless like happenings of people encountering like shadow figures along the cliff tops, and it's just like so eerie, you know. I never thought I'd get into the demonic side of things, you know. Like I've been researching Aleister Crowley and all that stuff lately. No, it's just such a weird thing compared to, say, the more simple Bigfoot accounts and stuff.
And you go looking for big cats as well, aren't you? You're on the track for big cats.
In Cumbria, yeah. I mean, I've been so big on it lately. Because I've begun filming a documentary, which currently has the working title Forests, Fells and Fans. Earlier last year in January, similar time to now, I witnessed what I believe to be a black melanistic leopard when I was on the Buster Hawkshead in Cumbria. And it was clear as day. It was slim, had this tail, and I saw it running. It must have been on private property because there was a building fairly close by. But it hopped over so effortlessly a dry stone wall, another fence, and then into a wooded tree line. And I was so tempted to get off that bus straight away and just try and chase it. But at the same time, I had this kind of fear in me, like, big cats are renowned, especially in foreign countries, for killing people, for being such dangerous predators. So I didn't particularly want to face something like that with my bare arms, because I had no equipment with me. I didn't particularly want to chance anything. But since then, I have received several reports from within this very same area, the black melanistic leopard, dating back to 2011. So clearly, whatever is in this area, it's not moved on. Now, a few weeks ago, I received another report of a black leopard only 6 miles away. So it's clearly, you know, still in this general area. So I feel like there's a really good chance if I put all my effort in, if I set trail cameras out and stuff, and I spend long nights out in this area, I might possibly capture it on camera. So that's generally what I'm hoping with the documentary. I've got a few interviewees up from witnesses to researchers. I've been in contact with Sharon Larkin Snowden, who actually found the Panthera DNA in Cumbria last year, which was in a few papers. So it's kind of just connecting with different people, getting their opinions on it, and just kind of pinpointing a location where this creature could possibly reside.
And do you think they're territorial? Ghost Dragon investigations, but I've seen a big black cat on the Bodmin Moors.
Yeah, Bodmin Moor, Exmoor, Dartmoor, just the West Country in general, such a huge hotspot with all these like old stories and legends of phantom black cats on the moors. But I definitely think they're territorial, but I don't think they'd attack a human. Because you've got to think, these are predatory animals. They'll attack deer, sheep, things that won't typically fight back. But if they go for a human, and there's the chances of it, getting hurt, it's no longer a predatory animal. It'll lack the feats that it had before that helped it hunt. So it's going to be defenseless in that way. So I don't believe it'll go for humans, but obviously, livestock and all that, I imagine it will go for. I mean, there's been instances where dogs have apparently been attacked by large cats in this country.
Well, I was going to say to you, have you interviewed farmers, local farmers? What have they had livestock stolen and mutilated, or?
I've never tried farmers. No, I've never really gone with farmers, to be honest. But I've interviewed a few other people. Some I will be doing later this year for the documentary. But again, earlier last year, in February, I was contacted by Mick McLaren, who said there were some killings in a field close by to the town of Kendal in the Lake District. So I went up with him and his partner, and we weren't expecting much. We were expecting maybe some bones, but we went up there, and there was several carcasses, mutilated carcasses, with very distinct bite marks in the neck area. The muzzles had clearly been chewed off, which is one thing that big cats will do. They'll suffocate the prey to take it down. And the kills kind of range from different ages. Some were more recent and some were older. So again, whatever was in that area must have stayed in that area for some time. If these sheep were constantly being killed, but we went down to the farm to ask, what had happened. I went down with some mates a few weeks after, and they opened the door. We told them, what's up with all these dead sheep? They said, what dead sheep? They denied any knowledge of the carcasses. I mean, abruptly shut the door on us. So that was that. And then a week after, I went up and they'd cleared the carcasses out. So, yeah, they clearly didn't want people knowing about the dead sheep or anything.
Yeah. Do you think that's to stop people clambering all over their land looking for a big cat? Or do you think it's just their way of dealing with the mutilation or the killings of the cattle?
Probably just so people don't go around on my land. To be honest, there's signs up saying, keep your dog on the lead and stuff, so they're clearly quite strict with the land.
Yeah.
But, no, I just don't think they want people snooping on my land, which, was clearly effective, as I've not been up there since. So, yeah.
Rivington Pike Beastly Roscoe. Hi, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live. It's proven we have big cats in the British Isles. Can Harlem tell us why we are not coming across their dens? Cheers, great show and a fantastic guest, by the way. That's obviously a friend of yours, then.
Yes. Or I could just be a great guest, one of the two.
It's probably both, mate.
Yeah. Well, with big cats, they what they'll do when they're close to death, they'll actually purposely hide themselves away in the deepest, darkest part of a woodland or the moor, where you're just not going to come across them. That's why we don't usually find bodies. Now, there have been instances where, lynxes and pumas have been hit by cars. But naturally, no one has ever really come across a body because they're that good at hiding themselves. If they know they're going to die soon, they'll go far away where you're just never going to find them. But they're constantly on the move as well. I mean, they've got an area of about 25 to 50 miles which they'll stay in this kind of bubble. So they'll go quite far. So they'll never stay in the same place.
I know,
too
like
long.
with domestic cats, if they're unwell, they will just go off. Even if they sort of like live in the home, they would just go off and hide themselves. And if they feel very ill, and they'll just go into the bushes and hide. I had one cat that did that had cat flu, and we spent ages trying to look for it, and it just taken itself into bushes because it felt that its time was up, which it wasn't. It went on to live for very, very few more years. So yeah, so maybe it's the same with wild cats as well. Maybe they've got the same sort of instinct to go and hide if they're sort of like unwell or
absolutely, yeah.
That the instinct of protection.
Yeah.
So because they're more vulnerable when they're unwell, they're more vulnerable to attack.
Yeah.
Ghost dragon investigations, but I worked farmland, and it's very annoying and frustrating when people are walking across a newly planted field, etc. So keeping people off is a priority.
Yeah,
I suppose.
I can imagine so.
Plus, the police are told to cover it all up. It was dog or deer, you were told.
Oh right,
so
yeah. I mean,
looked at?
Well, there's a conspiracy that the government know of their existence, but they don't want anyone knowing. Obviously, due to public panic and all that. So I've heard plenty of instances where people have seen these creatures that have been ran over. They turn around and have been taken away, or there's police cars around it and stuff. So whatever it is with that is really strange. Obviously they don't want people knowing of existence because it'll just cause a complete freak out among the public that aren't really familiar with the subject, I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose that, like you say, they're worried about the panic, aren't they? If you was to say, UFOs do land in forests and they do walk among us, you could imagine the sheer panic that it would cause.
Yeah.
And like you say, big cat, somebody sees a big cat. And do you often get reports of people seeing them along the main roads, or?
Yeah. I mean, I've received quite a few stories of people that are seeing them while they're driving on a motorway, in fields and stuff. So I'm not sure what it is with that. If the sound of the cars kind of hides their sound, if you get what I mean. So if they're hunting nearby or something, they won't be heard. But I'm not particularly sure, Matt.
Yeah. And what sort of size do they grow to? What's the biggest
I'm
one
not good at size. I'm terrible at math, so I wouldn't know the size. Big, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So bigger than a domestic dog, would you say?
I mean, some have been described as being the length of a Labrador, so probably, yeah. I mean, they're usually described as being quite thin, whether that's a panther, a puma, and obviously lynxes are fairly small compared to the other two. So it all depends on the species of Panthera genus it is.
Any questions, anybody? Angela? Nothing?
There was one earlier on which I can't find it now.
So what's your next exploration then? Where are you off to next, Harlem?
I guess it's more so just staying in Cumbria and just trying to do as much as I can there. But I do really want to head down to Cannock Chase sometime soon as well, as it just fascinates me with other stories. I want to experience something there. So many other people have.
Would you venture there in the darkness then? Or would you only
No,
do
yeah.
it for the day?
I mean, I've done it in both, but I think certain areas have like certain feelings, I suppose. I mean, a lot of people talk about the German prisoner of war cemetery, you know, when you watch all these videos on YouTube and stuff. But whenever I've been there about 3 times now at night, it's been nothing but peaceful. I've had like no negative feeling, which is really weird because obviously there's stories around the cemetery of dogmen and such. But it's just such a peaceful area. Now, take that and compare it to, say, Castle Ring at night, which is completely different. With it being an old Iron Age hill fort, it's got a completely different feeling. You know, it's just so much more eerie compared to that of the cemetery. It's so strange because obviously it's the same area, but it's different locations, and they all carry this different feeling of energy.
And what equipment do you take with you? Just cameras, basically, or do you take meters, or what do you actually take with you?
Camera, EMF reader. If I feel like it, I will take cat balls, though I've never kind of got a result with them, so it's very rare that I do bring them. And then I'll bring just a small pocket knife for protection, because obviously areas like this, as much as they're known for the paranormal side, they're also known for other things like dogging and similar activities. So,
Right.
especially Cannock Chase. I mean, now that's not related to the Dogman, but you just got to be aware, I suppose.
Yeah. And you don't mind venturing off on your own then? Are you one of these people that get it in your mind and think, right, I'm off, I'm going to do it, I'm there?
Yeah. I mean, any possibility I have to go out there, I'll do it. You know, I'm out as much as I can be, so yeah, I won't say no.
What would be your scariest moment, do you think, so far?
Scariest. Either the instance of Bempton that I talked about before, with this entity and this like feeling of fear, or when I wild camped up in Windlatter Forest and was woken up by what sounded like wood knocks, up by Keswick. I don't know if it was wood knocks, but it was so distinct that it woke me up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was like, because I was by myself and I was in the middle of nowhere. It's all like pine forest around me. So as much as I would have liked to have like gone out with a torch to see what it was, I just didn't want to leave my tent. I was so horrified. Like, I was lucky because I caught it on camera, which was like so lucky because like as soon as I pulled my phone out, it happened about like 2 other times and it just stopped. So I don't know, because I love wild camping, I love hiking, but when stuff like that happens, it completely like messes with like your brain and stuff. Like, do I really want to do this again? Well, of course I do, but I know if something like this happens again, I'm gonna be horrified. So yeah.
You do it for the passion, mate. It's the passion, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, that's all why we go looking for ghosts and spirits and big cats, because we're all passionate about what we're doing, isn't it? You know, sometimes we forget the danger that's about. We go crashing in there, don't we? And forget all about what could have happened. You know, a lot of paranormal investigators get like killed down lift shafts, you know, because they're so busy looking in front, they're not looking down. And most of the buildings are derelict. They take the lift shafts out. And of course, you're walking along and you're dropping 20, 30 foot straight through a hole in the floor. You know, so it does happen. I'd imagine it does when you're in a... Do you not think when you're in a tent on your own thinking, this is not really a good idea now?
Every single time when I camp by myself, yeah. Because I'm just like, straight away, as soon as I'm in there, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be so nice if I was sat on my bed at home right now with a warm radiator, hot water bottle, with a TV on, and I'm just regretting it as soon as I'm out there. But when stuff does happen, it happens, and you're happy that you've got a result. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. So, yeah, you're just left with an emptiness. But no, yeah.
What sort of people have you met doing this type of cryptid stuff?
I've met some really nice people, like all yous, and I've met the worst people. So it's like that with anything, though, isn't it? It's like that with any kind of subject to go into. So there's not really any escaping, I suppose.
And do people look at you differently because of what you do? Like they do with you say, "Oh, I'm a paranormal investigator." Like yourself, you investigate cryptids and big cats and Sasquatch and Bigfoot. Do they look at you and think, "Well, that's quite a strange thing to do"?
Oh yeah, especially at my age, 'cause I'm so young. But obviously, I'm going to college and stuff, so no one like on my campus or whatever is familiar with it. So they'll hear Bigfoot with and they'll completely turn my mind off and think, "What? That's not real." Especially because recently I've had quite a bit of news coverage on my big cat stuff. So it's kind of because I'm trying to show I do photography and film, so I'm trying to show my tutors and stuff, so they're like impressed with what I'm doing, but then they find it strange at the same time. So it's kind of like mastering the combination, I suppose. Yeah.
But do you find you change a few people's minds once they've seen your evidence?
Sometimes. A lot of people are very skeptical, but yeah.
I think you get that in all types of this sort of game, didn't you? There's skeptics in the paranormal and skeptics in the cryptids, really. And are you off to Daniel's cryptid conference this May? I think it is, isn't it?
No, it's just so far away.
Yeah.
Because I'm right up north, so it's like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's too far to travel, really, isn't it? He's right down the south,
Absolutely.
isn't he? Really?
Yeah. That's how I've tried to become friends with so many investigators up north, so that I have to travel anywhere and spend crazy money.
Yeah. And have you ventured up into Scotland then? There must be a lot of forests and unmanned or unmapped areas in Scotland you'd like to go to.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was 9, I went down to Loch Ness for a weekend, which obviously, you got the Loch Ness Monster, and that's where Aleister Crowley's house was. This year, I want to go back up to Loch Ness, but I also want to go up to the Cairngorms, specifically to go up Ben Macdhu, which obviously has the stories of a grey man that's supposed to roam at mountain, which is in some instances described as a Bigfoot-like creature, but in others more like a paranormal omen, like a shadow entity. But it's just so interesting to me, just that whole area, I suppose, because there's nowhere else like it in the British Isles, with all the mountains, and it just goes on for miles and miles. So, yeah, I think if anything's going to be, remain elusive, it's going to be up in Scotland.
Yeah. Ghost Dragon investigations, but Edinburgh Vaults would be good to be doing so close to Scotland. That's supposed to be quite creepy in there as well. Would you do a paranormal thing like that, Harlem? Would you go into Edinburgh Vaults?
Yeah, I mean, I believe I've captured orbs before on camera. As much as I'm into my cryptids, I'm into my paranormal. Now I focus more on cryptids, but if I can, I will go looking for any kind of entities or apparitions, because I like urbex as well. So going in abandoned places, I've been in old asylums, orphanages, where people have supposedly, captured paranormal activity. Now most of the time, it's clickbait YouTubers reporting it, but sometime you will get proper stuff. So no, absolutely, yeah.
And have you been to many haunted buildings or on your travels? You think, I'll nip in there and have a quick look around, see what I can feel. How did you get on at Aleister, or if you've been to Aleister Crowley's house, or Did you say you'll go into
I've
it?
been to the I've been to the graveyard when I was 9 because my dad was kind of fascinated with that kind of stuff, with the occult and things. And he said he saw a shadow figure coming from the stairs where there's pentagrams on the walls. As soon as he said that, we were chased out by a whole swarm of flies, massive flies, all the way to the car. And as soon as we got into the car, the flies were like bouncing on. You could hear them. It was terrifying. I say terrifying so much, but it is. There's no other way to describe it. It's just so like crazy, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really tell many people about stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a strange experience, isn't it?
Mm.
So, is your family into cryptids, or is it just you that's into cryptids and paranormal? Or
More so just me, I suppose. Like, my dad's side will take an interest into it, but my mum's side, not really. So a lot of the time I keep it to myself, or I will tell a few family members, friends, etc.
so what's next on your bucket list, shall we say? Which,
Just getting in contact with as many people as I can.
Yeah.
I love hearing all these different varying stories of the cryptid genre, whether that's encounters with woodwose or dogmen or anything like that. I just find it so interesting, you know, compared to reading older accounts.
and do you have plans to go to America? Because it's very big there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I used to want to be a park ranger in America in one of the national parks, but it's quite unrealistic. So I'll probably stay here for quite a while until I've got the funds. So
Could you not be a park
just wait it
ranger
out,
in
I
this
suppose.
country?
I could be, but I don't know. It just seems a bit boring compared to America. You know, you don't get to carry around a rifle or anything with a Yogi Bear gonna jump out at you. So yeah.
I can go with that. I can go. Any questions, Angela? Is there anything there?
I was going to ask, do you think that there is Bigfoot in the UK?
In a blood and flesh sense, no.
Mhm.
But I believe whatever this Bigfoot-like entity is, I believe it to be paranormal or supernatural or interdimensional even. I don't think there's enough landmass to support physical creatures of that description. You know, they're described as being so large. I just don't think we have that. Like I said before, if there's going to be any place that could hold them, Scotland. But again, it's just not big enough. You know, we have reports, Cannock Chase, which is only about, like, what, 30 miles, which isn't going to support these creatures at all.
Yeah.
So I think in whatever way is possible, they are supernatural. You know, because you hear stories even in America where a hunter will see one of these creatures and shoot it, and it does no physical harm whatsoever. It kind of just walks it off. There's accounts of people finding these strange footprints that just seemingly disappear into thin air. So it's really strange. But obviously, you get the accounts of a woodworth which date back to the Middle Ages, which is more of a Christian belief. You know, like part of the pagan Green Man, whether like the Green Man was influenced by the stories of the woodworth and the British Bigfoot, possibly. But I don't think there's a chance it's blood and flesh. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah. So if, because my next question was going to be, do you think it's flesh and blood or like supernatural? But if they can sort of, come and go as they please, I guess. Do you think maybe when people have seen them in the UK, it's because they've sort of used a portal just to like go there and like have a look around and then get back into hiding in like bigger places in the US?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the whole kind of like theory of interdimensionalism, it's just so like out there. I don't think you can really like give it a proper grounded explanation. But it wouldn't surprise me if these creatures kind of come to our reality to feed, if you get what I mean. You know, to like regain that energy which you have used, say, teleporting or whatever, and then go back from there. But it's, I don't know, it's just really strange. Like the whole topic of Bigfoot in Britain.
Ghost Dragon investigations. Does that mean it doesn't need food to survive? Why does the area size matter?
Well, if it's blood and flesh, then there's minimal places for it to hide, if you know what I mean. Unless it's down in the cave systems below us, which are abandoned and derelict, which no one goes in. Fair enough, but I don't think, you know, because there's not going to be any oxygen or anything down there for something to actually thrive. But when it comes to food, I think there's plenty of deer here. You know, we have an overpopulation of deer across the UK. So it's a perfect snack, I suppose, for such a creature to regain whatever energy it takes.
And all the other cryptids, like the big cats and dogman and that, do you think they're all flesh and blood things, if they do exist?
Big cats, 100%. I believe they started from the Dangerous Wild Animals Act. You know, plenty of people releasing them onto the moors, the fells. You know, and from them they've just bred into a small population. Dogmen, I just don't think are biologically possible. So I think they're 100% supernatural. Probably even in the US as well. And then obviously things like the Owl Man, which was witnessed down in Mornan in Cornwall, probably supernatural, very much like the Mothman, which was believed to be a prophecy giver, almost, obviously with the Silver Bridge collapsing and people seeing the Silver Mothman around there. I just think it depends on what cryptid or entity we're talking about.
Okay.
Oh. Ghost Dragon, is Bigfoot carnivorous or omnivorous?
Well, you know, we hear
His special
stories
blood, I
of
suppose, isn't it?
yeah, but yeah, there's people in America that believe they feast on fish, berries. But I mean, it's more likely to be blood and flesh across the pond in the States than it is here. Yeah, I'm more open to that because like even the descriptions are different. You know, in the US they're more stocky, like a gorilla. But here they're more like a Neanderthal. They're more thin and shorter. So I'd say they're different creatures altogether, really. I mean, I've never really liked the term British Bigfoot. I've always preferred woodwose, as that is really what's, you know, the staple of Britain. You see him on churches, in cathedrals. But yeah, I mean, if they are blood and flesh in the US, berries, you know, mice, small critters, deer, absolutely. Yeah, why wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, it needs to feed, I suppose, doesn't it? Cool. Any question there, Angela? Or...
Just lots of comments.
All right. Scientists have proven that more than one dimensions exist. I believe that. You know, it's like when you look at time, people that, you know, these time travelers on YouTubes and things like that. These people appear in modern day dress, but in the 60s or 40s, and you know, walking around with what looks like a mobile phone. I do think they're able to time travel. What's your theory?
Yeah.
Harlem? Do you think there's such thing as time travel or portals? Can we travel backwards and forwards? You know, it's when we see an apparition, isn't it? Are we going forward in time, back in time? How do we see them?
Yeah. I mean, in most instances, they're often, you know, Victorianly dressed. in like white dresses and gowns. There's been few sightings of ghosts where they've been dressed in anything futuristic. And when something like that has occurred, they're often referred to as aliens or extraterrestrials. So it's quite bizarre, I suppose. I mean, I'd be open to the idea of time travel. Possibly it is connected to this other world where spirits, etc.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I've not really looked enough into that whole thing. I get what you're talking about with the photos as well of very modernly dressed people, like countless years ago. These photos, but I'm not 100% sure of it.
There's a very famous street in Liverpool, isn't there, called Bridge Street, that people have. They say that it's very famous for time slips. On a few occasions, people have been walking up there on their way, and they've seen like old Victorian horse and carts, and the Stones High Street's completely different. But within a few seconds, it's back to normal again. So, do you think that's something that can happen? We can walk in and back out of a time slip.
Yeah, I mean, you hear accounts as well of missing time, where hours will go by, and they won't realise it until they're there, and they check the phone, and like 5 hours has been, but it's felt like 20 minutes. So whether that's something similar, I don't know, but I think it's possible that people can enter these kind of fields of the past, I suppose, in certain locations. Again, obviously no one can be 100% sure of it.
No. Sorry, my mistake is Bold Street, not Bridge Street. Thank you for correcting me. Ghost Dragon Investor put Ed and Lorraine Warren were working on the theory of the veil, where it would be that where the world and the spirit world would cross over and you could see them both. That's a good, well, yeah, I suppose, but I often wonder, like on a paranormal investigation where you make contact with the spirit or a ghost or whatever you want to call it, whether they can see us, whether that we're just an energy field in a room or how they see them. I mean, you ask them, can you see it? And they say no. But how are you communicating with if they can't see you? Is it like telepathy? Is it? I don't know. When you ask them the question, can you see us? And they go no. Or is it? I don't know. Is it the same? What do you think, boys?
They might see us as ghosts, mightn't they? So it's like, it's weird, yeah.
Riverton Pikes, so maybe they run alongside each other. I do think we have dual lifelines. We have two lifelines running, and sometimes they cross, and we have these experiences. People say that's where your deja vu comes from, isn't it? When your two parallel lifelines cross.
Yeah.
There's lots of stories. Do you have a question for Harlem boys?
I was going to say, when you're out, have you seen like any UFOs, like being in the open spaces?
It depends what you'd class as a UFO, I suppose. Like objects in the sky that are moving. Could you class that as a UFO? Because obviously people can then fire back and say that's a satellite. Yes. So it's quite kind of difficult to apply what a UFO is. But I've seen strange objects in the sky that are moving, but definitely aren't satellites or stars or planets. Mm. There was one instance again in Loch Ness. We were on a campsite and there was this really weird kind of colourful flashing, and it headed towards like these mountains, and it just disappeared slowly into the distance. I was never sure whether that was some kind of craft or if it was like a drone or something. But it had these like really weird flashing lights, like you'd expect from like a classic UFO from the bottom of it. But I was never completely sure what that was.
And do you, when you're in the forest and you're camping out, do you see lights in the trees, like spirit lights in the trees, or you think, what on earth's that light over there? Or Do you get things like that?
The only time I can think of something similar was when I was at Dalby Forest in North Yorkshire at night, and I was walking, and all of a sudden, the corner of my eye, there was like a flash of a tree, like a really quick like white flash. But I looked up there and it was gone. But I couldn't explain it. Like it wasn't like a trail camera because it was like right at the top of a tree. But that could have been anything. But it was still kind of quite strange to me at the time.
And do you, when you're wandering through the woods and that, do you see lots of pairs of eyes? You know, where you catch them with your torch, or you think, what on earth is that? Do you know how the animals' eyes light up, don't they, when you catch them because of the reflection of their eyes?
Like a luminescent, yeah.
That's it, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But again, that's mostly deer or rabbit or sheep. I don't think I've ever come across something that I've like kind of questioned what could that be in the terms of something unexplained.
And what's the strangest thing you've caught on a trail camera?
I've never actually used any trail cameras. It's something that I'm looking into at the moment to try with the big cats. So I don't really have any experience with them.
Right. And would you trust them when you?
I don't know. I mean, if it's clear as day on a trail camera, absolutely. Now, if it's clearly a big cat right in front of that camera, but it's a big cat, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's something in the distance that could clearly be accounted to pareidolia, the mind trying to make something up that just really just isn't there.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the distance, the clearness on the camera.
That's the thing, isn't it? Do you believe what you're seeing? And if it is right in front of the camera, you've got no other choice but to believe it, have you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're out and about. So what's your what would be your on your bucket list? If you have a bucket list, what would be at the top of your list?
Rendlesham. I'd absolutely love to go to Rendlesham Forest. Again,
All right.
like the West Country, it's so far away down by Kent. There's just like no reality where I can just like go there easily. Unless I get a vehicle, you know, and pass them out my driving tests and stuff.
Yeah.
There's just no way I'm getting down there. You know, but like the trains are so ridiculously expensive to go down there. So it's just waiting till I'm at the age where I can just drive down on my motorway, you know, spend about 6 hours or so just driving. But yeah, Rendlesham, I mean, with the incident that happened there, and there's still like ongoing things around that woodland. So absolutely down there.
Oh, so that would be your number one go. I've been to Rendlesham. Angela's been there as well. You've been there, Angela, haven't you? It's a very strange place, that forest, because I have family live in Suffolk, which is the county next to it, and we've been to Rendlesham. A very strange forest. That Angela went there with Darren once, didn't you?
Yeah, we went there. Yeah, it was strange in parts. It's like some bits of the forest weren't like the other bits of the forest. It was, yeah, very odd.
And Angela's also been to Alistair Crowley's house in Cornwall.
Yeah, the one in Cornwall, yeah. That was interesting. It's probably, I imagine it's quite like inside what the other one is like, with like the pentagrams and all the different bits and pieces. But yeah, that had a strange feeling as well.
Boys, do you have a question for Harlem?
I was just gonna ask, so with like portals and stuff, with like your cryptids and stuff, do you think it all links in with the paranormal? So like with us, like paranormal investigators, like we obviously believe in, like you say, portals of spirits coming through different dimensions and obviously to communicate with us from the past. What's your beliefs on the cryptids side of that?
I think there's definitely a connection with it. people say they see orbs before or after a sighting with a cryptid. Most of the time, Bigfoot or something of that nature. I'm not too sure. I think with a paranormal, it depends what kind of entity or spirit it is. Like if it's whether it's been summoned by a group, say of Satanists, and then they haven't banished that entity, they say, and then it stays in that land. But with the cryptids, I'm not too sure. I think there's definitely a chance that, like, say something like the Owl Man could have been summoned a long time ago. Just with it being like, it's almost like a chimera from old mythology, where it's kind of like a mix of different species almost. But no, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things we'll never know as well, isn't it? It's, you know, but that's why we all investigate it. It's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever find the answer, Harlem?
I wish, but probably not. No. No.
No.
I mean, we'd all love to be the one to find it, you know, but I just don't think it'll ever happen.
So whereabouts are you based up north? Whereabouts are you based then?
On the border of Cumbria and Lancashire, so Lancaster area. We've got like the Forest of Bowland besides us, from the Lake District above, the Yorkshire Dales. So it's quite an interesting area close by, but it's nowhere near as exciting as where you guys are down south.
We don't have much going on here other than lots of ghosts. So anybody watching, Harlem's based around that area. So if you're out and about or need any questions answered, contact Harlem. Have you got a website, Harlem, or YouTube channel, or how do you do your social media?
So everything from YouTube to Facebook is Cryptids Britannia, or if you just type up my name, Harlem Karma, it should come up. If anyone does want to contact me, I've got an email which is cryptidsbritannia@gmail.com, where you can send in reports, whether that is big cat, cryptid, UFO, paranormal. I'm interested in anything you're seeing, so please get in touch.
And you could always team up somewhere with another team. You give your experience to another team and go on the hunt.
Absolutely.
So there you go. You heard it from Harlem. He has all the different social media platforms. So get in contact. If you have any sightings, get in contact with Harlem. Just send them to him and let him have a look. He may well contact you and come and meet you. And so, Ghost Dragon Investigations, would you go to Romania and investigate Dracula's legend?
It's quite a different one, I suppose. It's not a cryptid, nor is it, because obviously the stories of blood-sucking humans, date back a long time ago, to like Vlad the Impaler and stuff. But I'd be interested to go into the castle, Transylvania. But I'm not sure what I'd investigate per se. I think it's an interesting location. It's an interesting legend. But I'm just not sure how real and how current it is, I suppose. But if I got the chance, absolutely.
Mick McLaren, does Harlem think that what we saw on the road in Bempton came through some sort of portal?
Here's another one I've not told you. See, I keep so many stories in my head, but I just never tell them because like so much has happened at like such a young age. It's just like no one's gonna believe it.
We believe
like
it.
one major when we were on my way to Speeton, which is another hot spot very close by to Bempton. We weren't expecting anything. We're on an old country road, crop fields besides us, and all of a sudden, right here's the crazy part: a wolf-like creature which to me was very similar to the Kessler wolf from an American werewolf in London, almost apparated from a mist in the middle of a road and hopped over to the left side of the car, where it then turned right and went into this field. Now, there were about 5 people in the car at the time. I was in the middle back, so I kind of had the best view of this creature. I saw it kind of come from nowhere. Lee Roscoe and another member saw what could only be described as a mist, I suppose, where this creature would have been. And then Mick and the driver saw this huge tail kind of go into the hedge line. So we saw this. We didn't know what it was. So we got the driver to turn around. We got out of the car to look in this field, and there was nothing. There was no tracks, no imprints, no evidence that anything was ever there, apart from a group of deer in the distance. Now, it couldn't have been these deer. They were way too small compared to what we saw. Mick and the driver, Daz, described the tail as being almost horse-like. Well, obviously, these aren't livestock fields. These are all crops, so there's no horse stables around. We looked on Google Maps afterwards. There was nothing. But it's really interesting how it appeared out of nowhere, because there's a similar encounter down by Cannock Chase. I think it was like between the 60s and 90s. Of a driver driving through a chase, and we saw a mist that kind of formed from a road, and then a wolf-like creature came from that mist. You've got all these stories of hellhounds, such as the Black Shuck, the Gert Dog, all across the country. But this was really weird. It was like a dire wolf almost. It's so bizarre how it appeared out of nowhere, but I think it's interesting that it could have possibly been going to get these deer. Like I was saying before, with the idea that they might have to recharge this energy, I suppose, by feasting on physical flesh or whatever. I think it's totally plausible that whether this creature was, this canid, was stalking these deer, but we all of a sudden happened to disturb it in that process. But no, it's just baffling. It's just baffling.
Riverton Pike, he's interviewed them on the spot there and then. It's on my channel. Okay, tell us what your channel is. Put it on there.
It's actually quite smart what he did, because as soon as we got back, he basically got us to draw out what we saw. And Mick and Daz, their drawings were almost identical, like literally the exact same. They're on Lee's channel. Obviously, mine was a different point of view, so it's slightly different because there's more body in it. But we all know what we saw. There's no denying it whatsoever. But it gets to a point where I just can't carry on telling stories, because no one's going to believe it if I say, well, I've heard woodknocks, I've seen a possible werewolf, a demon, maybe. Like, a big cat as well. Like, no one's going to believe it, like, whatsoever. So I can only tell a handful of things until it gets to a point where I just can't be arsed listening to what I have to say. But, yeah.
It's interesting. So, any other questions?
Do you watch Skinwalker Ranch? Do you follow that at all?
No. I know of the show, but I've never kind of followed it, no.
Oh, because they found evidence that could be of a dire wolf over there. Interesting.
Was that on the TV show?
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out then, because there's been quite a few stories, mostly in the States, of like possible large dire wolf-like creatures. Obviously, we've got timber wolves and stuff that are fairly similar, but no, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. I don't think there's any more questions.
Okay. So if there are no more, boys, have you got any questions, or Julia? No?
I don't think so.
Okay. So,
What about another story?
hey? He says people. He tells us stories that people don't always believe him. we know that.
That's on a different level, isn't it?
Give us one more of your stories, Harlem, and then we'll put you out of your misery.
Right. Gather around a fire. Right. Here's another one. This happened. This was when we went to the Alistair. Oh no, I already told you that one. I need to think. I need to like recog my mind and like think like experiences. I don't think there's any more. Actually, apart from like weird feelings when I go into some of these abandoned places. But I've had a bad history, such as asylums, etc. I don't think I've had anything as like notable as what I've told you all about, which, in a way, I'm glad of. But I'm always open to more experiences. But no.
So if you want to get in touch with Harlem, tell him about your sightings up north or even down this way. You get in contact. He's on the social medias. He's on there, and I'm sure he'll investigate anything that you come up with. Any experiences you want to talk, or you're not sure what you've seen, give Harlem a shout, and I'm sure he'll contact you and go through it with you and sort of try and make sense of it. But so if that's it, we'll say thank you, Harlem. You can stay on if you want. We're going to talk about the investigation we had Saturday night in Devizes. But if you want to drop off, we do understand. So
I'd love to. I've got work for college. I'd love to stay, but I've got work to catch up on. So no, thanks for having me on, Mo. I've really enjoyed it.
It's a real pleasure, and thank you for giving us your time to be on here with us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
of course. No, thank you.
Listening to your
and everybody that's watching, thank you for commenting. We're going to talk to Julia now about devices. So if you want to drop off Harlem whenever you're ready, get on with your college work. We wouldn't want to get you into trouble.
Bye.
You take care, buddy. Bye. So Saturday night, we had our investigation with Paranation Ghost Hunting Events with Julia and the team. We were at the Devizes Town Hall. So Julia will tell us a bit about it, and then we'll tell you what happened to us. So just a quick brief just a quick view of Devizes Town Hall. Julia, if you want to give us a quick
yeah, we turned up and what did we do? We turned up. We turned up and
it was a start, wasn't it? We turned up.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, tell me about it. A wet ride on a motorbike to work.
Have you been drinking?
Honestly, I've had Red Bull. It's just Red Bull. Honestly, it's just Red Bull. But yeah, I've sort of like lost track of what I was going to say. But yes, we had about 30 people there, and we had access to the dungeon, which dates back to the 16th century. And as you went down some steps, you went through a little room into the dungeon, and it was just really eerie down there. That's all I can say. Really eerie, damp, creepy, and it just had that feel to it when you went down there. And there was like 2 prison cells, and then you went up some steps, and it looked like there used to be a platform above the cells, but that's been blocked off. But you can go up the stairs and sort of like get the idea of it. Wasn't particularly big down there. I think we managed to get probably about 10 people in there at a squash. We had a really long bench down one side, so everyone could sit down there. We had 2 music boxes going off. We had the ghost tracker shadow boxes going off. We had a laser grid on the wall. We had a balloon on the floor, and that was like bouncing about. Really, really good down there. The base room was quite a large room as well, and then we had the hallway, which had a nice wooden staircase. I believe Paul got some stuff on there. He'll chat to you about that in a minute. And then we upstairs we had like a big like landing with loads of photos of the mayors going back through the decades. It, you know, well, I guess it was like probably every mayor that was there, but there was like loads of them on the wall. And we had like a little bar area, and then on one side we had this room, didn't really get much in there, a smaller room, and then on the other side we had this big, almost like ballroom type room, which was, I believe, at the front of the building upstairs. We started off, I think Gemma's just messaged me saying that she's just going to go to bed because she's, you know, it's a bit late in the day for her. So I was hoping she was going to jump on and tell us about tell us about what we did in that room, but she can't stay on any longer. She's got to go to bed. So is that a question for Julia? What was that? So I can't
That's
read
what
it.
made you pick that place. Well, I didn't know, because there was a bit of a lag and all these messages just went.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't. Yeah. And we were in the room, and we had there was about 6 new people with myself and Gemma, and we were doing some spirit writing, and it kept on writing help, help, help me, help, help, help me. And we said, why do you want us to help? And it said like RAPE me, you know, and help, help, help me, help me. And it was just like, and that's basically all it kept on writing, help me, help, help, help me, help me. And then we heard like a scream, and the curtains were like, it was like a blue room with blue curtains, light blue curtains that went from like floor to ceiling, and the curtains sort of like waved a bit. And we went over, couldn't find a draft or anything, couldn't debunk it. I was going to Gemma, you know, knock on the table. And she knocked on the table, and it sounded like they were knocking under the table, underneath the table, back at us. I've managed to catch it on film, so that was really good. We had some really good time in there, and then we sort of left it because it just seemed to go as quickly as it started, and we must have been in there for, I don't know, it seems like it didn't seem long, but it must have been ages. Then we went down to dungeon, then we went back up to that room, and we went into a bar area. We didn't really get much in there really, but I believe some people got some stuff in the bar area, and yeah, you know, all in all, it went really fast. I believe it went quite fast, and from, you know, people I've chatted to seem to get quite a lot of bits and pieces. It was our first time, so we didn't really know what was going to happen or what to expect, but it seemed, you know, active. People had said to me before we went it was an active place, but you don't always sort of like believe. You want to find out for yourself, don't you, and to see what you get. But Stuart, no, was it Stuart? No, it wasn't Stuart. It was Gary. Do you remember Gary and Martin that were at HMS Warrior?
Yeah.
Gary and Martin have been to the town hall before in the past.
Oh, okay.
And they got a notebook, and they've wrote in the notebook everything that they've got. And they said, oh, if people could like let them know what what we got, then they can sort of tally up to what they got in their notebook. But yeah, Gary and Richard, no, sorry, Gary and Martin. I'm absolutely shattered. Gary and Martin. Who's Richard? Who is Richard? Anyway, Gary and Martin would have loved to have come Saturday, but Gary's had a shoulder op, so he can't drive. So unfortunately, they were unable to make it. But we hope to see them. Yeah, it was. He said at HMS Warrior he was going to come, and then I messaged him a couple of weeks ago. He said, my shoulder's still not right. I can't drive. So, you know, you wouldn't want anyone to drive unless they're fit enough. So, yeah, such a shame. But yeah, if anyone's got any stories, I think he's in the Paranation group. So I'm sure he's sort of looking at what we've got. But yeah, we had a great time. Worth the trip.
Anybody watching, just drop your notes in the chat, and then they can have a look and compare to their notes and look. We were stationed, came straight out and went sort of around the building for the little bit of the walk on the lit, and came back to the staircase where we were sitting on the staircase by the front, what would have been the front door to the offices. And we had cat balls going off on different steps up there to start off with, so we knew there was something happening. And then halfway through, and I think I've got it on a EVP, what sounds like a screech, a screaming, a screech. And we all sort of heard it with our own ears. We thought, oh, well, maybe it's a cat. But obviously there wasn't many cats in the building because it sounded a bit like a cat at
We had a
first.
screech upstairs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that sounded like a woman's screech. When we were doing the planchette, it's going, help me, help me.
Right.
R-A-P-E, you know, that, and help me. We heard by the window, which would have been, it was at the front of the building, so it would have been above where you were.
Yeah.
Right above where you were.
We heard it once, and I think Sindel was there.
Yeah, we only heard it once.
And we all went, what on earth is that? No, what was that? And it all went quiet. And then we had different noises happening on the staircase, and the cat balls going off on different stairs. So we kept asking out. And then the split second I looked at the double doors that lead into what would have been the base room, I saw this man standing there in the door, like looking at us. He had like what I could only describe like a mayor's hat, like a three-pointed hat. And I thought, who on earth is that? So, and I sort of tried to connect, and I heard it, Town Crier came into my head, and then the name came up on the box saying Frank. So we thought Frank was the Town Crier. So as soon as we called him, Frank, are you here? We could hear whispering in the corridor. And Sindel, I tell you, I think Sindel was there, Mark. I think Dora, Emma, the ladies that did the scrying, they were there. Because she said, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this before. And we could hear whispering. And then from round the corner was the toilets. And we kept hearing a noise from there. But we wondered whether it was one of them perfume diffusers go, you know, as it sprays. Yeah. So who went in there and checked it, Jim? Was it you?
Okay.
I think Jen went in there to check it out.
It did make a noise.
It did make, she said, did make a noise, but not sort of noises we were hearing.
But also that door kept opening.
And then the door to the disabled toilet, I was standing down there with my camera, sort of pointing out the thing. And we called for the Town Crier. And there was such a noise came from that corridor. And everybody heard it. And I'm sure Emma and that heard it. We were going, what was that? Like a real plain, I don't know, how would you describe it?
Like a man shouting.
Like a man shouting. Because we were saying, oh yay, saying it out loud to see if we could get a reaction. And literally, you heard this man shout something, literally. And at the split second, I looked over my shoulder and I saw one of the toilet doors open and then shut again.
And there's no window in there.
And there's no window in there because we went in and had a look to make sure there's no breeze. So around that staircase was really active. But we think the Town Crier may have pushed the woman down the stairs and she died. Because that's
on the landing to see if there was any Town Criers called Frank. But to be fair, there must be about 100 up on that wall. It would have taken like ages to see if you see his name.
But unbeknown to us, Jen was in the hub drawing away like she does the spirit art. And then we were calling out because Jen was having a cup of coffee while we were in the thing. And we were calling out and we'd have all... And Emma will tell you, there was all sorts of weird noises. We've never heard noises like it. So it was really active on the staircase. And in the end, we had quite a few people sitting on the staircase going... I think you came down once, Julia, didn't you?
Yeah, right. We sort of like came past and sort of like interrupted you. And I think we did hang around for a little while and then... there seemed to be a lot of people, so we thought, oh, we'll go because in case we're sort of interfering with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, but we did stop and watch for a bit.
Yeah, then your circle pulled.
And I was standing there and we were calling out. I think Angela was there then.
Yeah, and Dora.
And I had my shirt pulled by the door, like my hoodie pulled, made me jump more than frighten me. So I thought, what on earth was that? Thinking I'd caught it on something, but there was nothing there. But I definitely felt a pull on, like someone was pulling on my hoodie. Ghost Dragon Investigations, Wiki Search, Town Criers, Devices. It may come up with something. Yeah, quite possibly. And then Cindel, while we were having a cup of coffee, she's saying to Jen, "Oh, what you drawing?" Jen said, "Oh, just this man that's come through, and he looks like this." And so she walked off, and then she Googled the town crier, and it's exactly the same person that Jenna drew with the town crier after she Googled it. And when we looked in the cabinet, you know, the big cabinet had all the bells, his bell was in there. And sure enough, his hat was in there as well, and all the staffs that they would hold. But that stairway was very active. Just, I think something's happened there. And I kept getting the name of Queenie. I don't know what she's got to do with it, whether she was pushed down the stairs, fell down the stairs, but something's happened around the stairwell area. But once we got sort of onto the town crier, we were getting all sorts coming through then. So we'd actually got a reply to what we were asking. And even Cindel, you know, a couple of times on the EVP, we were in, you know, the main hub. There was another room off the main hub with all the chairs in where the Lord Mayor sits.
Yes.
We went in there and we had EVPs in there. We were talking. There's a woman here, you know how you go. And we heard clearly. And I sort of thought I heard it, but I thought, well, maybe I didn't. So my hearing's not that good anymore. And when I played it back, it actually says peace. Why are you here? Peace.
Oh.
And I played it down. I said, is that your voice? Wasn't it? You remember? We kept playing it to try and see if it was anybody's voice in the room. Obviously, nobody had said that, but it doesn't sound like anybody in the room. But, you know, I've yet to go back over that.
Esther's in the room upstairs, and Zoe was sitting on the stage area with the headphones on, and we were sort of like talking and asking questions, and that was quite interesting. And we had the necrophonic app going as well, and some other app, and things were coming through there, which were quite interesting as well. I'm not really a big app person, so but some things were coming through there which were quite strange. We did like throwing the ping pong balls, waiting for them to come back to us, but they curved, but we put it down to the wonky floor, you know, with the floorboards and everything. So we can't say they came back like they did at when we were in Ash. But yeah, it was just like a really active night. And the 6 newbies we had at the beginning of the night, they said, "Oh, we've been on a few ghost hunts before," and we said, "Oh, that's great. You know what we're doing. We don't have to, like, you know, explain everything that we're doing." And they said, "Oh, we've never done this." I thought, well, it's just like planchette writing, and it started going, and then they were just like completely overwhelmed with what was happening. And they said, "We've been on loads of ghost hunts, but we've never had this amount of activity." And that was after the knocking on the table and the lady screaming, the curtain going, but we didn't get any cat ball going off. So it was just like just
I know
a lot in that room.
Yeah, when we were having a cup of tea, the Spirit Brothers come over and spoke to me. Said, "Oh, what are you getting on?" I said to go to the staircase and try a bit out there. And he said, "Oh, okay," because you don't really want to let on what you've had, because you want other people to experience, because it's that power of suggestion. "Oh, we had this, we had that." So to go to the staircase just outside of here and see what you think, see what you get. And a couple of times I went to go out and they were out there, and then they came back in. I said, "How'd you get on?" They said, "We had so much activity on that staircase. It's unreal." They'd never had anything like it. So there's something around that area, that foyer, if you want to call it that, that's very, 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 very active.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
You could tell them what happened.
Oh, Jim, we were standing at the bottom of the stairs.
We'd all just walked out into the hall, hadn't we?
So we'd gone in there, had a cup of coffee, came out into the hall, thought we'll try again. And Luke held the door open for Jen.
But I didn't realise it was behind me.
She didn't realise Luke was behind her. So we're standing in there, all the lights. I think Angela was there then.
Yeah, we were chatting.
And we were chatting away. And then Luke said something from behind us. First time I see Jen jump. That actually frightened her. She didn't realise Luke was standing behind her. It was so funny. It really did jump. It's the first time I've seen her jump. And Luke went, oh, sorry. You know, I like Luke.
Luke doesn't normally say much, does he?
No.
So then all of a sudden his voice comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really, really good venue. So, you know, North Fort's the next one, isn't it? Or Not the Fort, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's at the end of March. End of March, we're there.
Still
And we
tickets
got
available?
I actually, when we were on the live this evening, I took 4 more bookings. So
Oh, nice.
that, you know, I was sort of like talking to a lady. She was at HMS Warrior, so she's a returning guest, and she's bringing some people with her. So yeah, we've managed to sell four places this evening for
Nice.
so it's going okay. It's going
Good.
okay. We got a number limit as well of 30. So it's going to be a nice number. We had you know, I think sometimes, you know, it depends on the size of the venue, doesn't it? And I've never been to Northport before, so we're allowed 30 max, and that includes all the helpers and everybody. So I think I don't think we've got that many spaces left, to be honest now. I'll have to double check my numbers, but yeah, it's going really well, and I'm looking forward to that one. I haven't
Yes.
been there before. It's a new one for me. The boys are coming. You coming?
We are.
Boys are coming.
Hey.
So
Nice.
it's down your way as well. Is it how far is it from you?
It's
From who?
hour and 45, I think, something like that.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's sort of like in between us then, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
I think it's about an hour.
Straight
Yeah,
down.
it's about
Just straight down
that for
south
me.
for us, really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek for Paul, but
Well,
I think you're
we're
staying
20.
down there.
We're about 20
minutes.
minutes from there.
You'll be in
'Cause the
bed then, but even before we get to our car.
Yeah, because of caravans in Wool, which is about 20 minutes from Weymouth, just outside
Yeah.
of Weymouth. So it'd probably be the first paranormal event we've been to that we're home within 25 minutes.
Before everybody else.
We'll be messaging you lot. The Ghost Dragon Investigation. I hope you have a great night at North Fort. If you get stuck with needing help with the guests, we are more than happy to help. I'll post it on our group. Thank you for that, Ghost Dragon Investigation.
That's very
We
kind.
appreciate that. You know, we're all groups that are trying to help each other. So yeah, it's nice for and it'll be the same for us. If we can help you with any of your venues, just give us a shout. I'm sure we can arrange something.
We probably only got a handful of tickets left.
Nice.
Off the top of my head. So
Yeah.
it's going good. It's going good. So
And where do they get the tickets from?
www.powerNation.co.uk.
There you go. Get on there, get your last few tickets.
South Coast Ghost or Host for Ghosts or Paranation, and just message us and we'll be able to, you know, sort out the link for you.
Be a good night. So get your tickets. And obviously keep an eye on the Paranation website through the year, because there's lots of events going on there. Little mini events, or, you know, major Saturday events. So keep an eye on the Paranation website and you'll contact direct with Julia. Or if you can't get hold of Julia, if myself or Angela, we'll always get hold of Julia at some stage. So don't be worried. So get on there, get your tickets for North Fort, or as Jen calls it, Not the Fort.
It is, isn't it? Though?
It is. When you look at it, it looks like Not the Fort. She calls it Not the Fort. How funny. Anyway, so we've done quite a bit tonight. Yeah, go on, Julia.
Stuart and Tracy were down in the dungeon. They got a stick figure, and also in the bar area, they got on their infrared camera, the thermal imaging camera, they got like a white spirit. Looks like a white ghosty type thing in the bar area. But that's in the Paranation group. If you like scroll through there, we're trying to upload stuff from Saturday at the moment, and go through all our evidence. It seems to take ages, doesn't it? And
yeah, I've got quite a bit of video. Funny thing we're doing, we was gonna, because in the dungeon they have mannequins in there in the dungeons. If you're not expecting it, you walk around the corner, there's this blooming mannequin standing there. And what we were going to do was try and move it by the door.
Is that the one with the top hat?
Yeah, the one you got a picture with. That one that's got his hand on your shoulder.
I got a selfie with him. I said to Gemma and show us, because we that we're waiting for the caretaker to come because he had to clear everything before we could leave. So we thought we'd just have a quick scout round and make sure no one's left anything. And we were down in the dungeon, which is quite eerie. And I said, come on, Gemma, come and have your selfie taken with this guy. She went, no. So we were just messing about. I just took a selfie with him. So it was, yeah.
We were going to actually move it because Gemma saw it by the wall. We were going to actually see if we could move it by the door. So if Gemma went back there, it actually moved. But we didn't want to move it in case we broke it. So we left it well alone.
Yeah, he was quite scary, wasn't he?
It was quite eerie. So that's it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in and watching us. Oh, and just got something.
Just want to say about Daniel's in the Daily Mail today, I think it is.
All right, yeah.
Let me just... I had this all set up and then it all crashed. And when I came back up, it all gone again. I thought, but I'll see if I can just show it. Share screen.
What's he done now? Has he got a wanted poster for him?
Just a little story on him. I don't know if you can see it.
All right.
Yeah. And it's got, just about a little bit about him and some photos.
Nice.
That's on the dailymail.co.uk.
So if you want to read about Daniel, get on there and have a look. He's got an up-and-coming cryptid conference coming in May, I think it is, Angela. Is it May?
Yeah, the end of May.
So come along there to the cryptid conference. Myself and Angela will be there, representing the paranormal side. Yeah, Jen will be there, representing everybody else.
Oh, and we've just got 3 more tickets that have just been sold for Norfolk. So we've just sold 3 more.
Oh wow!
Literally just this second ago. So
nice. Thank you, whoever that was.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's much appreciated.
But we'll be able to see the boys in the flesh and see if they really look good looking like they are. What do you reckon, boys? You'd have put on your best suits for us?
Yeah.
You can imagine it'd be quite dirty and dusty down there.
So don't wear them white trainers, boys. Come on.
I'm always a nightmare for that. I am.
White trainers is a paranormal investigator's footwear, is it? You're walking through mud and dirt and dust, and now your trainers must get ruined.
Something like that.
Or do you open the wardrobe and you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
All white.
And Saturday's a black colour.
Yeah, most forts are quite dusty, aren't they? And
yeah, it'd be quite wet on the floor as well.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
So,
Wendy's like that in places, isn't it? So
yes,
that's a bit
so make sure you wear good footwear. Solid footwear for that one, just in case. Normally the lower floors can be quite wet, the floors, so just make sure you wear good footwear. And we don't want anybody injured.
Just very warm.
And we don't want
very
we don't want any white trainers in case we get a luminescent picture on a video.
Yeah.
Look, there's a couple of white feet there.
Floating ghosts.
Yeah.
We had some balloons at the weekend, and we blew the balloons up, and we were putting them down to see if the spirits could move those. So we might try that again, but if the floor's a bit stony, they might pop. But I've got a pack of 50 in my case, so we can share those out and you can blow them up. And
Ghost Dragon Investigation put just a small staircase. They said it's warm and dry, so
Clean and
that sounds. Yeah, that's what they put earlier.
It's
So that
very
sounds
clean
promising.
and dry. Oh, that's good. But it's because I know some locations we've been to, some like caves and tunnels, they are pretty
No
grim.
wearing white trainers, boys. Come on. It's not a dance, not a disco.
Is it cold though? It must be quite cold down there though.
Anyway, we'll let you go because Julie's had a long day and it's time to go. Angela's
It's been a very, very long
trying
weekend.
to keep her eyelids open. You got
Very
something
long
to say?
weekend.
I've got one more thing.
Okay.
The boys wanted me to show this video. It's not very long, so don't worry.
Okay.
Only 2 hours long.
We'll come to that tomorrow. Oh, there's them trainers again. Look.
There you go.
Oh, I've seen this on TikTok.
K2.
Where was this,
Where
boys?
you going?
That looks creepy, doesn't it? Nice. Good video, boys.
Thank you.
Like that. And where was that?
I liked it on TikTok.
Bit of everywhere. Like you say, HMS.
Bit of areas. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. Well done.
Yeah.
So you just keep doing that. So save me and Angela talking and Julia talking a week.
Yeah.
And you wearing them white trainers again, aren't you? What is it with white trainers?
Well, again.
Trouble again.
Dear, oh dear, how funny. So only remains me to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Ghost Dragon Investigations, thank you for coming in. And then same as us, if you need help with anything, please get in contact with us, so Julia, myself and Angela, or Abnormal Paranormal, whoever you can get hold contact with. You know, we'll always come and try and help with you. Get onto the Paranation website, finish up the tickets and not the fault. And there's a few other venues on there that you might want to buy tickets for. All good investigations, all good locations. So get on there. So only remains for me to say thank you, boys. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Angela. Thanks, Jenny. And have a safe week, and we'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye.